Welcome to the show, everybody. Joseph Robert, the fantasy football counselor. Happy Sunday, and there's no football. It's June 28th at the time of this recording, and I want to have some fun here on Sunday here. I want to do an episode called Fantasy Football Did You Know? Yes, I'm going to give you guys 8 little facts here, 8 little things you may or may not know that are just interesting, right? Did you know this? Did you know that? And I'm going to talk about the fantasy implications to it. So I'm going to give you guys some fantasy football strategy regarding those players, okay? So 8 fun little facts. Did you know about some statistics, about some certain players, just so you get some insight so you guys can make a better decision about that player. So we're going to have some fun here in this show today. Fantasy football, did you know? So that's what the name of the show is called. I want to dive in here and give you guys some exciting facts, statistics, some analytics, and some thoughts for you guys to consider so you guys can make the right educated decision for your fantasy drafts. And we are close, guys. I mean, July is coming up. It's creeping up on us here. And I'm telling you, man, I'm beyond excited about this fantasy football season. I think there will be a season. I think there's over 70 days left, some odd days left until the season starts. Now, from what we understand, the season's a full go. To my understanding, I think they're saying they may reduce 2 games of the preseason, so we may miss 2 weeks of preseason. That's okay. It is what it is. We just want the season to happen. We see other sports starting to happen, which is a good sign, which is also going to, reflect on to what we're going to see here with football, and that is a full season. So I'm beyond excited, okay? Before I get into this, guys, 2 quick homework notes. Well, actually, there's 3 things. Number 1, if you could smash thumbs up, really helps the channel if you're here watching on YouTube. And number 2, guys, leave your fantasy questions below. I'll try to get to as many as I can here, so your questions are encouraged here. Also, I'm going to leave my text number. I'm going to pin it to the comments here. You can text me a question. So your first question, guys, I'll try to get to as many as I can. Also, when you guys text me, you guys get inside information. So I blast out certain text for you guys on inside information, exclusive one-on-one. So join the council by texting me. There is a link, or actually I'm going to leave the number here below in the pinned comment. I'll also leave it in the body of the message here. And then ask me a question there as well. And a couple other things, fan-to-fan network, guys, creating our own network with all the top influencers. I'm beyond excited about this. Follow FTFN on Twitch. There's a link below on that as well. And finally, guys, get the 16-round draft solution, the first ever and only video training. I give you all the optimal players, breakout sleepers, all the optimal players to draft in each round, omitting all of the guys that are going to bust this year. And I'm telling you guys, this is the game changer. You guys need to jump on it right now. I'm literally handing you guys a win on a silver platter. Now, there's no guarantees in fantasy football, but I will tell you this. This is as close as you can get to a bulletproof formula to win your leagues, okay? Balanced roster, optimal roster. You're going to absolutely love it. 16 rounds at thefantasyfootballaccounts.com if you're listening in the car. All right, did you know? First one, let's dive into this. Did you know Lamar Jackson? This is an interesting one here. Lamar Jackson had 1,206 rushing yards. You're like, well, Joe, so what? He had 1,206 rushing yards. What's the big deal? Well, it is a big deal. He's a quarterback. And I want to make you know, this is the did you know part that's very exciting. He rushed more than all running backs in the NFL except for 5. That's crazy. So he rushed more than Leonard Fournette, Josh Jacobs, Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, after having a pinnacle year, only rushed for 1,084 yards. That's Aaron Jones. Rushed more than Carlos Hyde, Saquon Barkley. Mind you, Saquon Barkley was hurt. Doesn't matter. He rushed more than Saquon Barkley. David Montgomery, Peterson, Miles Sanders, Kenyon Drake, Devin Singletary, David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, Devontae Freeman. I can keep going. Melvin Gordon. He rushed more than all the running backs in the league except for 5. The only people that rushed more than him, and these are running backs, are Chris Carson, Zeke Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, and Derrick Henry. That's it. So that's an interesting fact. You may or may not have known that. But now let's dive into a little bit of strategy behind this. Again, I'm concerned with a quarterback that runs this much because of injury, right? He's putting himself out for injury. Mind you, he is super ultra elusive, which is great. But at the end of the day, he's putting himself at risk. And that is a problem for me. And not to mention, I'm going to stay away from him because he's coming off in the second round of your fantasy drafts. A guy I will not be targeting this year. That is way too rich for my blood. I'm staying away from Lamar Jackson in the second or third round. There's a ton of depth at quarterback, okay? And they did bring in Dobbins. Now, again, this doesn't help Lamar either way. So even if he runs the ball out, he's putting himself at injury. And now with Dobbins there, At running back, him and Ingram, they're going to take some load off him, which means less rushing yards, which means less fantasy points. So coming off a pinnacle year, look for a decline out of Lamar Jackson. I just thought that was really fascinating, a fascinating fact there that he rushed more than every other running back except for 5 running backs. That's phenomenal, okay? Next, did you know? Now you guys will be like, oh my God, Joe, more Dalvin Cook talk. Why? Listen, because Dalvin Cook is still coming off top 6, top 7 off fantasy drafts. Listen, I don't trust him. His ADP is very high. This guy has no business being in the top 10 or being drafted at all in fantasy because he hasn't finished the season. Interesting fact. Now, a lot of people kind of go with the recency bias. They kind of forget what happened in the previous years, but I'm going to remind you here. In his rookie year, he played 4 games. In his second year, he played 11 games. In the year that he had this pinnacle year last year, 2019, he only played 14 games. That's 29 out of 48 games. Guys, that is terrible. 29 out of a possible 48 games Dalvin Cook played. He missed a lot of time. A lot. That's like 19 games, guys. That's a lot of games missed. I don't even do math in my head, but I think it's 19 games, okay? I suck at math. All right, so a lot of people say, well, Joe, I forgot about that. Oh my God, in his rookie year, he only played 4 games. Yes, he hasn't finished the season, so I'm not going to draft him, but I just wanted to do a fantasy football. Did you know? 29 out of 48 games, not worthy of being on my roster. Sorry, guys. He's due for an injury, and that's why he's pushing for a contract, because he knows. Dalvin Cook knows Dalvin Cook's an injury-prone cripple. So I'm staying away from this cripple that is Dalvin Cook, injury-prone, not good for fantasy football, okay? All right, number 3 here. This is an interesting one, okay? Christian McCaffrey. Now, I'm staying away from him because decline is imminent as well. Different quarterback going to be thrown to him, right? I'm not trusting the situation there. New coaching there. So CMC led all wide receivers. He beat every wide receiver in receptions last year except for Michael Thomas. So he had, this is crazy. Michael Thomas had 149 receptions. He had a pinnacle year himself. So guys, don't get too excited about Michael Thomas this year. But what's amazing, though, he had more receiving yards than Hopkins. Hopkins was number 2. Him and Keenan Allen were tied for number 2 in receptions amongst wide receivers at 104. Christian McCaffrey led all wide receivers, guys. All wide receivers. He's a running back in receptions with 116. That is crazy. He's a PPR machine. Although, guys, I am going to be a little bit cautious with him this upcoming year. I do think Barkley has a higher ceiling, okay? All right, did you know number 4? I got 8 of these things, okay? This is an interesting one. DJ Chark actually finished 17th amongst wide receivers in fantasy points with 225.8 points. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty good. I like that. Now, what's amazing about this fact is, well, Joe, he finished 17th. What's amazing is this guy was really unranked. Nobody talked to him. He was clearly out of the top 60, and he was, I think, 2nd or 3rd on the depth chart. So listen, nobody was talking about Chark, including myself. I knew he was there, but not a guy I thought he would emerge. Minshew came in, and he emerged. But again, what's fascinating about this is that DJ Chark is actually a guy that I really love this year as a sleeper, and he's still kind of going underrated, but finished 17th in PPR last year, and he's finally found his groove, and I think that rapport is going to be there with Minshew. Quick off the line, great separation, between defenders. Like he's, separating from defenders really, really well, and he's got a nose for the end zone. I like him. Last year finished 8 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards, 1,008 yards. That's pretty good. I like it. I like the upside. 118 targets for 73 receptions. That's going to go up as well. DJ Chark, again, it's very interesting that he finished 17th and he was completely unranked off everybody's radar, okay? Next one, did you know? Now, some of these aren't as exciting, but just for your information and knowledge, and you may know these things, but Derrick Henry finished 5th amongst running backs in fantasy points, and he was, did you know this? Out of everybody on the mainstream's top 10. You couldn't find him. And I encourage you, if you guys do find this, let me know. He wasn't top 10 in any magazine, any rankings, anywhere. You could not find Derrick Henry in the top 10 on anyone's list except for mine. I had him 6th, I believe. So Derrick Henry's a guy that everybody slept on, and now everybody's riding his dick right now. And that's what I hate about this. I hate the mainstream consensus because they overlook so much and they don't think outside the box, and they're just literally copying and pasting last year's rankings. So Derrick Henry's a guy I still love this year based on volume, based on hunger. I still like him. And again, 1,540 yards last year, 16 touchdowns, phenomenal, off and outside of everybody's top 10 except for the counselors last year, okay? All right, so this one's very interesting here. Now, I want to make a note here with this one. Big Ben, okay? He's off everybody's radar, okay? everybody's radar. Big Ben's completely off it. But I want to make a note here, and he's going undrafted in drafts. This is what's amazing about this, guys. He is not being drafted. Now, I'm not a Big Ben advocate. I really don't care for the guy. But here's what's fascinating. He was actually third amongst running backs in 2018, leading in not only attempts with 675, number one in attempts, but also number one in passing yards with 5,129, producing 2 top 10 receivers in Juju and Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown with 168 targets, Juju with 166. So a ton of fantasy relevance here when it comes to Big Ben and that offense, okay, especially when he's a healthy Big Ben. So when I look at this, he is literally going undrafted. Nobody's talking about him, but I had to make that. Did you know that he is like sitting 17th on the consensus now, and he was number 3 in finishes in 2018? An injury hinders him 1 year. The recency bias kicks in with the consensus rankings, and he's completely off the radar. And again, going undrafted in a lot of leagues. That is phenomenal. Big time sleeper and a backup quarterback you could target with massive upside. Look for Deontay Johnson and Claypool to emerge there as wide receivers. Love it. All right, this one's interesting here. Another one, did you know Baker Mayfield was actually top 5 on everybody's board, give or take top 4, top 6 in all the magazines, all the consensus rankings in 2019 going into the season, and he was one of the biggest busts. Did you know he actually finished 20th amongst quarterbacks in the rankings, and he had 22 touchdowns and 21 interceptions? That is ugly. This is a guy that they hyped up. He's with Odell. Another guy, Odell. Did you know this? This is a bonus one here for you. Odell Beckham was drafted in the first round 3 years in a row, suggested to be drafted by the mainstream rankings 3 years in a row, and busted 3 years in a row. And Baker was part of that hype, which is the did you know here. Did you know he was top 5 and finished top 20th? Completely busted. Baker Mayfield was the guy that I said Allen would have a better season than him, and Allen outperformed him. And that's what I tell people, guys. You got to think outside the box. Josh Allen finished 6th amongst quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield 20th. And when I told everybody, you can go way back. I encourage you guys, I challenge you on my Insta Fantasy Football Counselor, go back and check. I said Allen will outdo Baker, and people thought I was crazy. Look how it ended up, okay? Think outside the box. That's how you dominate. And that's why a 16-round draft solution is the game changer. Get it below at go to thefantasyfootballcounselor.com. And the last one, did you know here? Did you know Damien Williams was top 12 on all rankings on the consensus and was drafted early in the second round, 12-person PPR leagues, drafted in the second round, okay? Early second round, Damien Williams. And he actually finished 38th amongst running backs in PPR with only 141 points. Major bust, another guy I warned you about, okay? Guys, listen. Damien Williams, years to wow me. I'm not wowed. Why would you take him in the second round, okay? The guy's done nothing. He was a backup for a backup on the Miami Dolphins for years or wherever he played. And then you come in and you're going to make him a second-round pick. This is the same thing going on with Kenny and Drake this year. Yes, Drake could have a breakout season, but he's probably going to be fool's gold yet again. Same with Nick Chubb, going off the recency bias with Kareem Hunt. These are two guys I'm staying away from, Kareem Hunt and, Nick Chubb and Kenny and Drake, Fool's gold there. Kareem Hunt could eat and be the guy. Drake, again, years to wow, so we're not wowed. Now he's a starter and a second-round pick. Don't believe it, okay? Not sold. So Damien Williams, the guy, again, was top 12 across the board, and he finished 38th. Just wanted to know if you guys knew. That's it, guys. Had some fun here with some stats. Fantasy football, did you know? Make sure you guys are following on my social media platforms. Follow on Twitch, FTFN, Fan to Fan Network, also on Instagram, and get the 16-round draft solution, and leave your comments below. And text me, guys. I'll leave the number below. Hopefully, you guys had some fun with some stats and some numbers here. Just want to throw some numbers out here as we are ramping up towards the season. And, guys, appreciate you being here. Smash the thumbs up if you're new to the channel. Thank you, guys, and I am out.